Pat McAfee did the unexpected, which is not surprising. He took a massive swing. He did at mainstream sports media. He wasn't messing around. At the end of their annual media day, Pat Mac went after the Athletic's Andrew Marchand, who is a media critic, and, of course, awful announcing. Now, awful announcing can't like Pat McAfee because awful announcing, well, frankly, is awful. Used to be all right, but now it's gone so far left and so far in the pocket of the folks like Lebitard and Kimes and Spain and all the little perceived cool kids at ESPN that they cannot wait 1 second to get after me or Pat Mac or anybody of our ilk. McAfee thinks he's being mischaracterized. He and his show, here's what Pat Mac had to say, because you made a lot of my life hell for a bit with the things that you reported, how you were reporting, what you were saying, and your source at the time was kept out of the conversation for purpose because of everything that you were kind of going to do. So I just think an image was painted of me through a lot of different mischaracterizations and misrepresentations of what our show is. Sometimes we might be the worst people on TV, and we're going to try to be that, and we're going to try not to be that going forward. Very good. It felt like there was kind of a calculated attack seemingly taking place on me and my show because of how different we are. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the fact, look, Pat, I got to tell you, I know you're very popular with all races, creeds, colors, whatever you want to say, but make no mistake, you're a white dude. And in this world, a white dude, whether it's fair or not, maybe it's reparations, I don't know. But in this world, a white dude ain't gonna be the hero to a liberal-ass website, particularly when there are all kinds of liberal media out there for them to piggyback on. I've long accepted that once I figured it out, and you really can't fight it other than to make fun of them. But I like what Pat Mac's doing here because he's doing it in front of ESPN's, quote, most influential. Because of the journalistic standards that we do not adhere to. We have no journalism school people on staff. I did not do anything with an agent. I negotiated a deal myself. So those are two powerful groups that potentially were cut out of my operation completely. And don't think that doesn't piss them off. Don't think that does not piss them off even a little bit. A lot of legitimate people I had a lot of respect for before this whole thing started kind of just made me look like a complete asshole. Well, one of them was Norby Williamson, and Pat got rid of him. Obviously, he is talking about Andrew Marchand of The Athletic, and he is talking about awful announcing. You can certainly paint me and my guys as terrible people. See, I get painted as a terrible person. There's a new article out about me in Barrett Sports Media because I went after, and maybe they're right, actually. I went a little too personal after Chris Ballard, but my problem is when I lose respect for someone, I can't stop, particularly when I hear their voice and they sit there and lie. That's why last night, completely sober, by the way, I couldn't stand listening to Kamala Harris. Couldn't stand it. I don't know what even it was. It was like, how is this person possibly running for president with that guy? How are these two people up there? It made me crazy. I'm not going to lie. Hey, it just made me crazy. You can certainly paint my guys as terrible people. Well, and I think that was happening for a lot of people as they were getting a lot of clicks. He's right. You talk about Pat McAfee, you're going to get a lot of clicks. Why is he first on our list today? Well, number one, I like Pat. I respect the hell out of Pat. I think what he's doing is fantastic. In fact, he mentioned us yesterday, and he was wrong, and I had to correct him. He mentioned us on his show that I was kind of ambivalent about the Connor Stallions show, and I was. But I also said that I would hire that dude in a second. That's exactly what Pat said later on. I wasn't mad about it. I guess Feinbaum and Heather Dinich went at us too. Look, I can't. You're coming at the king, baby. You know what I'm saying? You're coming at the streaming king. So don't at me about with it all your little garbage. Anyway, we have no journalism school people. I like that. Awful announcing is in here somewhere. I don't know who you are. But like, man, future earnings with like slander, libel, character assassination, stolen clips, all that shit. Like if I wanted to ever deal with suits, which I don't, And everybody knows that could be a thing. Like, I can make all of that a thing. He's right. See, awful announcing, there are two sides here. And I don't know if you guys even care about this. But when you're dealing with ESPN, you're dealing with basically 2 or 3 different factions. I'm going to take out one of them. The people that just show up at ESPN every day and do their jobs. The guys that produce the shows from the studio, the camera people, the people working behind the scenes, clipping, the PAs. I mean, there are so many people that work at ESPN on a daily basis, and they do a 9 to 5 or a noon or midnight, whatever shift. I'm taking those people out of it. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is people that are there daily hosting shows and people that come in. That's a group that you see on TV. They're fine. SVP, he stays out of things. He's fine. Different folks you see on SportsCenter are fine. Then you've got the cool kids, the kids that have figured out, look, we can run ESPN because of the color of our skin and our liberal views, and Pat doesn't fit into any of these. Pat doesn't go there other than when he is asked to do something like yesterday. He shows up on set only on Saturdays for game day, and he does his own thing from his own place. He doesn't need them, and they know it. So he doesn't really fit. Well, what happens when you don't really fit? When you don't really fit, people come at you. Think of the kid in grade school that didn't fit in anywhere. People either didn't pay attention or they came at them, and nobody's going to not pay attention in the media to Pat McAfee. So what do? They side with Easy. They side with the purported cool kids, the women, the lesbian, the woman of color, the gay person, whatever. That's the modern cool kids to the media. Pat McAfee doesn't fit any of that. He's married. He's got a child. He runs his own shop. Everything that awful announcing doesn't like, except if they were honest. Now, if they were honest, Pat McAfee would be even more celebrated. Pat McAfee would be put on a damn pedestal for exactly how you do it. Remember, this isn't Tom Brady with 6 or 7, whatever he's got, Super Bowls. This is a punter for the Colts. It ain't a punter in New York. This is a punter for the Colts. And his brand has been building since he was a punter, whether it was the golf swing, whether it was knocking a guy out of bounds when he was on kick return as the kicker. He should be celebrated. But we all know what happens. What did I just say? Anybody different going back to grade school gets attacked, gets picked on, gets prodded, gets poked, gets paid attention to in not the most positive way. And that is the only reason Pat McAfee comes under fire from these people. Andrew Marchand, I don't know him. I pay attention to him when he has ratings and a review. I like him. I think he's fine. I don't know. Pat does. How much Marchand has gone at him. Obviously, it's enough. Awful announcing's a piece of shit liberal operation that can kiss my ass. I mean, that's consensus. Used to be all right. But little Benny Koo and little Benny Howland or Rowland or whatever, they're so far left they can't see straight. And anything outside of their little left leaning, watch every day how much awful announcing, and I'm giving them great pub here. Watch every day how awful announcing puts Stephen A. Smith or Sarah Spain or somebody like that in their mix. Good for McAfee. Another reason we must love Pat McAfee. We love him. We don't love Keith Olbermann. We don't. I'm sorry. Keith Olbermann actually decided to lob a completely pointless attack at McAfee. Now, seriously, responding to a tweet from awful announcing about schools in Morgantown, my favorite place. There's a statue to me in Morgantown, West Virginia, shutting down. Closed Friday with the Pat McAfee in town, West Virginia, Penn State game Saturday. This is what this idiot decided to tweet. Well, they also have to bring his ego in over city streets. Yeah, good. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Of all the people in sports media that should have an ego, it should be Pat. I just talked to him at his house the other day. He owns 3 houses out here on this lake. Nobody has less ego. Wonderful wife. Wonderful father. Wonderful earner. People should look at it and not be jealous. People should look at it and strive for it. But not Rosie O'Donnell. I swear to God, Keith Olbermann and Rosie O'Donnell are now officially separated at birth. My God, man. Anyway, you know, on this show, a few months ago, I told you Brittany Mahomes gave me gas. I had had enough. I got a text from a friend of mine, Sharon Spake, and I don't know what it meant, Shannon Spake. Shannon and I worked together. She was doing NASCAR here, and I think she was mad that I defended Brittany Mahomes. I couldn't tell. So I wrote her a really nice text back. Hope you're doing well, blah, 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 but never heard back. Figured I wouldn't. I had to sit in the car one time with Shannon Spake, and me and Nestler had to listen to her political views on about an hour drive out to a slam dunk contest, and they were interesting. I like Shannon. We sat one time, me and Shannon and Ness and our crew on a, ice storm in Baton Rouge. True story. Bruce Hornsby showed up because his kid was playing at LSU. The bar let us grab some wine because they were shutting down because it was dangerous, and we sat in the lobby. We had some wine. It was fun. I like Shannon. And now, I like Brittany Mahomes. So, Shannon, if you're watching, please feel free to send me a text about what I'm about to say about Brittany Mahomes. Brittany Mahomes recently liked, apparently, a tweet supporting Donald Trump. She then defended her stance on social media, and now she seems to have tripled down on that stance amid Trump support backlash on Instagram. I like me some Brittany Mahomes, and not because of her politics necessarily. I like Brittany Mahomes because she ain't afraid. Brittany Mahomes ain't afraid. Trump, Vance, 2024, American flags. Look, if you watched that shit show last night, you have to go. And by the way, there's a thing that has 15 million views. The first answer, Miss Sexy, she's orange. What do you expect? Really? Oh, okay. All right. Fine. I'm just saying, you never apologize to these wonks. Never, ever do you apologize. You never do anything other than triple down, quadruple down. Brittany Mahomes seems to triple down on a stance amid Trump support backlash on Instagram. One of the comments she liked, as I just said, Trump Vance 24. The other comment referenced her recent social media activity that has suggested support for Trump and drawn backlash. From those who do not support the former president. Well, the Party of Joy. The Party of Joy is not happy when you don't joy with them. Just like the Summer of Love wasn't happy if you said, hey, yo, stop burning the damn buildings down. Stop burning the damn town down. Would ya? Would ya? Huh. Anyway, that comment said, glad to see you aren't backing down. We're all entitled to our own opinion and shouldn't be bullied into submission. That's right. Nobody should. I mean, let me explain something to you. The ugliest, and I'm not talking facially or physically, group of people out there, and actually maybe facially and physically, are these crazy-ass liberals that can't get out of their own way. They despise themselves. They despise you, me, everybody that actually can just go along in life thinking rationally and having an opinion that supports that rationality. It makes them crazy. It makes their thigh tattoos step up. It makes them scream and yell, my body, my choice, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Well, guess what? Screw you. Yeah. What are you going to do? Write another article? What are you going to do? Send a tweet? What are you going to do? Send an Instagram post that's viewed by millions? Look, I got to tell you, if I'm Brittany Mahomes or Patrick Mahomes, my God, man, am I digging it. That's right. You got to have a voice now. You saw it last night. Vivek Ramaswamy said it best. You're not running against a candidate for the Democratic Party. You're running against a machine. And those of us from Chicago or that area that followed politics in the 70s understand the word machine. Mayor Daley, the old Mayor Daley, had the machine. He cranked that bad boy out, and he got election after elected after elected after elected after elected. And his kid did. The machine rolls on, and you're seeing it. And you're not doing yourself a service by being quiet. Guy said the other day I should be on Fox. Of course I should be on Fox television, but I made a choice long ago that I was going to have a voice. And I knew that voice was going to eliminate me from doing games on television. But you know what? I did games on television. I never really got involved in stuff like this, and I wanted to. Yes, according to Barrett's Media, that does have consequences. Sure does. And those good consequences. I get to work with the best team I've ever been on, with the best bosses I've ever had. That's a good consequence. Anyway, back to Brittany Mahomes. Keep going. I'd love to get her on the show. She should keep talking. Somebody said this, liberal said this. Boy, I bet Pat Mahomes sits in the car, in the driveway, waits, gathers up the strength to go in the house. See, I view it different. I think Pat Mahomes rushes home. I think Pat Mahomes rushes home just like I do, because I have a wife that's smart, beautiful, opinionated, and funny. I bet you that's what happens. Bet you. He don't sit there and go, oh, I got to put this. No. That's what my buddies do that have liberal wives. True story. I'm not going to name them, but that's what they do. Oh, man. I got to listen to this. All right. Not me. I run home, try to talk my wife into getting naked, and have a discussion and a laugh and maybe a glass of wine. It's utopia in my house. It is. I'm not going to lie to you. It is. It's kind of a utopian society that Patrick Mahomes lives in, far more than me, because he's got FU money out there. You know what? Good for Pat Mahomes. Really good for Brittany Mahomes. Really good. An anonymous NFL agent expressed belief Thursday that the New York Football Jets are in a state of turmoil due to quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and he isn't a team player. Hold on here. This isn't a rookie. This isn't a guy that is just getting into the league, or a guy, I don't know, like Brock Purdy, who is in his third year, whatever he's in, and he's taking over the team. This is a veteran guy that has been on teams forever and ever and ever and ever. And if you are smart enough, like we here at OutKick are, to pay attention to Aaron Rodgers and those around him, man, oh man, you never heard or hear anything about him, Rodgers, being a bad teammate, being a bad leader, causing turmoil on a team, other than maybe, just maybe, showing up on McAfee's show and making the media mad. This is, again, in my opinion, obviously it's my opinion because I'm the one saying it, but this is, again, an attempt by liberals to smear a guy because he came on McAfee's show. Make no mistake, Aaron Rodgers was fine. Never heard this kind of crap out of Rodgers when he was with Green Bay. Never. Guys came to play with and for Rodgers. Oh, just stop. But all of a sudden, he shows up on Pat McAfee's show, and he doesn't toe the liberal company line. Wear a mask. Get vaccinated. Everything is doom and gloom. Oh, my God. He's different. What did I just tell you about different? When you're different, you get poked at, prodded, attacked. All of a sudden, some anonymous agent. Oh, okay. All right. There's complete disarray over there. Look at how they've handled Rodgers. Has one player had more power than him? He skipped minicamp. They've been unable to convert him into a team player. The vibe inside the building is terrible. Really? Okay. I mean, here's what we've had. We've had lockout or holdouts. We've had hold-ins. Rodgers missed a couple days of a camp. He's been in the league since 1962. You think he gives a rat's ass, or anybody does? Just show up, sling the caca, and let's win some football games. See, this is the beauty of sports. It's all going to be shown. It's all going to be established. It's all going to be played out once the 8th of September comes, which is coming quick, and we get to actual NFL football. All this garbage, all this nuanced stupidity, all this in-your-face stupidity is going to be exposed one way or another, and you know what that is. One way, win, the other, lose. Lose, people are going to say exactly that right there. Oh, it's disarray. No, he put the coaches in a terrible spot. Oh, the coaches should have talked to him and moved training camp. Oh, Rodgers isn't a team player. I challenge anybody, and I'm going to look at my X account. I challenge anybody to come up with, when Rodgers was in Green Bay, any players, not some media guy reporting, any players that left, came, didn't, whatever, and that dislike Rodgers. That's it. I mean, let me know. Show me. Because it just doesn't happen. But now it does. Why? Because everybody got mad at him on Pat McAfee. People saw his views, didn't like him. Look, this ain't that hard to figure. This ain't that hard to decipher. This ain't that hard to see. Stay on the left. Everything's peachy keen. Expose yourself as someone leaning right. Ooh, baby. Poke it, prod it, punch it, pull it, knee whips, smash your head if they can. That's all this is. Who gives a rat's ass? Well, apparently I do, because I'm talking about it right now. You know what I'm saying? Anyhow, let's move it along and let's keep it political. Are you ready for this? The NIL. Man, is my guys good. Nick, you and Nick are really good at putting this show together. You really are. I got to tell you, it's fantastic. The NIL has many bedfellows. Cars, the Leal deal here at Indiana, buy this, buy that, come see me, come have a signing. We're going to be on a rooftop at a bar signing T-shirt. I mean, it's got many bedfellows, but I didn't see this one coming. I honestly did. And if you did, I swear to God, I want to hire you. Because you are forward thinking if you saw this one coming. Listen to this story and tell me what you think. College athletes in Montana are being offered cash through NIL to make endorsement videos for Senator Jon Tester as he campaigns for one of the Democrats' most vulnerable seats in the 2024 cycle. Jon Tester's candidate campaign said they had no knowledge of Montana Together. Montana Together is apparently where you go, I guess, as an athlete to make a little NIL scratch and say this candidate is the guy that we're all supposed to get in on. Now, let me ask you a question. Why is Siri going off? I didn't say, hey, Siri. I'm telling you, they're listening to you. Make it a good one. Put it right in the bed while you're having the sex this weekend. Hey, give all those dudes in Zuckerberg or Gates or China, give them all something to listen to. We have an NIL opportunity for Montana student athletes, and I could use your help getting the information below to any individuals who you recommend applying for this campaign. Montana Together is using Open Doorsy to source athletes for an NIL deal. The deals were offered as follows: $400 for 2 scripted videos, $800 for 2 unscripted videos, $2,400 for 4 unscripted videos. I'm in. Hell, I get like $30 to do a cameo. I'll do it. I think you're great, Jon Tester. I don't know who the hell you are, but if the check clears, hell, you're great. Isn't that how we kind of view things? I mean, I want you to think about this. When the NIL came in, and everybody wants to tell me it's great, and that's fine. I hope it is. I mean, it doesn't affect me one way or the other. The only thing that I'm going to do is say, okay, Indiana, basketball, you paid $3 million, go win some games, some meaningful games, some games in March, some games for a championship. That's the only thing it's done for me is say, let's go, something to watch. But, man, I don't think very many people said, hey, look, here's the deal. I want you to pay me, or I'm going to pay you to do an unscripted ad for someone that you have absolutely no knowledge of. And if you tell me you got knowledge of, you're lying. I'm just saying, I get it. Athletes are more aware than ever. I get it. The access to news and information back in the day was you had to go pick up the newspaper. I get it. And in fact, you could get one free at Indiana, the IDS, and other schools. It's free. I totally get it. But not many students did back then. Now, all you got to do is click on your phone, espn.com, outkick.com, swipe right on Tinder. Hell, you can get a date, sports scores, and make a bet before 8 a.m. Actually, if you start at 7:55, you can get all that done by 8 a.m. So look, I understand students may know more, but no. This is a cheap political trick. It's the same thing Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are doing with influencers on TikTok, Instagram, and other places. Hey, we want to pay you to put us perceived as good. Oh, really? Now, understand, a lot of people are making a lot of money on TikTok. A lot of people are making money on Instagram, a lot of money. So you got to come strong. As they say, you got to come proper if you're going to pay an influencer. That's what Vivek Ramaswamy is saying. He's saying that this is not a campaign about a candidate. It's about a machine, and that's part of the machine. Jon Rahm is denying reports. I like Jon Rahm. He has a temper. A fiery Spaniard coming off the heels of Olazabal and, of course, the great Seve. Jon Rahm made a mistake. I text my boy Tarico and others the other day, hey, look, I wouldn't have left for the money. I'm watching this playoff, and I really like it. I ain't leaving for the money. Rahm left for the money. There are reports he had regret. There are reports he had buyer's remorse. Here's what Rahm had to say. Do I have buyer's remorse? No. I don't have buyer's remorse. It's been a really fun ride. I've had bad years in majors before. Before that, they blamed it on me being able to control my emotions, which they did. They would compare me to something else. Matter of fact is, I just played bad, plain and simple. I don't know what else to tell you. I think a lot of people are letting themselves pick and choose and judge my year based on 3 events. Yeah, Masters, not good. PGA, not good. Really, it was 2 weeks. Because of the U.S. Open, I couldn't play. He did that via Fox Digital. I don't care. He can say what he wants to say. But if you're sitting at home and you're really a competitor and you're watching what's going on this tour, and you know that not one person of interest, mostly me, can name one event, not one, on the LIV Tour, that can't be easy. Now, it's made easier by the big scratch, and I understand that's the answer here, right? I mean, I'm no dumbass. I understand they're making so much money. Who cares? They may not even be watching. They may be having fun. But again, I preface this by talking about a competitive guy in his competitive prime. Now, this all goes away when and if the LIV Tour and the PGA Tour come back together, which I think will happen. Seems like they're still discussing that. So if that happens, Rahm wins. However, it needs to happen fairly soon because you can say whatever you'd like, but these young guys on tour, they ain't slowing down. And they're coming, and they're coming, and they're coming. And guess what? Contrary to most, you don't get better as you get older. Just saying. Rahm, I think you made a mistake, and I ain't mad at you. I'm not mad at anybody that did the old line, go on, take the money and run. Woo, woo, woo. Go on, take the money and run. You doggy. Not mad at you at all, but I wouldn't have done it. Looking back with hindsight, wouldn't have been me. No. Amanda Stenberg, she is the, quote, star of the woke and utterly abysmal Star Wars series. What is that called? Acolyte? What is it? Acolyte, thank you. Which has been canceled after just one season, is, of course, not taking responsibility. Why would she take its responsibility for the Acolyte being horse shit, and she's the star. You know who it is? Me. That's right. I'm responsible. I can't even say the name. I watched Star Wars 1 back as a kid, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And then I watched Star Wars about 2 years ago, and I'm like, wow. What I thought was really ahead of the times, obviously now is behind the times. But that's the world we live in. So this little girl is mad. She blames conservative bigots. Don't we all? It's not a huge shock to me. Of course, I live in a bubble of my own reality. But for those who aren't aware, there has been a rampage of vitriol. Oh, yeah, sister. That we have faced since the show was even announced. When it was still just a concept, no one had ever seen it, that's when they started to experience a rampage. Yeah, baby. Of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry, vitriol, prejudice, hatred, hateful language towards us. Welcome to the world of public life, baby. I mean, I'm about 1/1,000,000th as recognizable as you. And I get it every day, honey. Oh, and I don't go whining and crying about the obvious bigotry and hate towards the gorgeous, the glorious, good-looking like I receive every day. But Peaches, I got to tell, and as you know, this has really affected me when I first got the job because it's just not something, even though I'd anticipated it happening, it's not something you can fully understand until it happened. Let's flash back, shall we, to cast members bragging about how gay Star Wars is. Well, prior to the show release, they talked about how gay Star Wars is. Shocking it failed, and it must be the white man conservatives' fault. Let's hear that garbage.
I want to ask you both because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And are you excited about that? Are you
Not
bracing
the gayest
yourself?
Star Wars. Not the.
It's pretty gay, let's be honest. Leslie, how do you feel?
Am I gay? Yes.
Well, no, I know
Yeah.
you are gay, but I'm asking, are you excited about putting this, this is going to be a talking point?
Is it going to be a talking point?
I'm sure some.
Because nerds are gay.
Well,
Yeah.
some nerds are very not gay and are very threatened by gay
Well, that's
stuff.
true. But
Yeah.
in my world, nerds are gay.
Okay. Was this the fun element of it?
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I frankly
You're offended?
into it. No.
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference photo.
And are you telling me with a straight face that C-3PO is straight?
They're a couple. That's what I think.
Jesus. I mean, Star Wars. I mean, you ruined Star Wars. As they say all the time on 2.5 Men, which has become my new Seinfeld, don't gay it up, Alan. Well, they did. The show holds an 18% rating on Rotten Apples, which is not good. Is it possible, just possible, according to us here at OutKick, that Disney and Leslie Headland simply had no idea what they were doing and made a bad product? No, can't be that. After all, getting an 18% rating on Rotten Tomatoes from viewers is borderline impossible, particularly for a series, a franchise like Star Wars. Hey, Nickelodeon, are you a Star Wars guy? Are you a guy that's gone back and watched any of those? A lot of people don't know this, but the great Herm Edwards picked up the Joe Pisarcik fumble and ran it in for a touchdown. A lot of people see him on TV, and they don't know that's – I watched that. And there he goes. I mean, look, you were like big, strong. I mean, were you a cornerback at that size that you are?
Yeah, I was a corner. Yeah, and It's ironic you talk about the Joe Pisarcik play. I mean, and that's great. I mean, I was in the right place at the right time. But I think probably my best achievement as an athlete, especially a football player, from the high school level to the college level and to the professional level, I never missed a practice and I never missed a start.
There you go. Wow.
So I was available.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never
Something about being available.
Didn't make it. Yeah. I never missed a practice but in my life, but I never played in the NBA. Wasn't good enough. And Coach Knight never started me much, which sucks. So I can say I never missed a practice, but he was smart enough to start other people. So, there we go.
Well, all I know, you played for Coach Knight, so you were a good basketball player. I know that.
Right. Hey, Coach, I want to ask you a question because you had guys on your staff that were former players, really good players. Antonio Pierce is now the head coach. You know, I was watching Deion Sanders' team last night. He had a lot of former NFL guys. Pat Shurmur is doing his, but Warren Sapp is there. He's got T.O. around. Interesting to me, former great player, Sapp, great player. How difficult is it for a great player to understand the, not so great player, average to good player, and coach them up?
Yeah, it's difficult at first when you think about players, especially the ones that are Hall of Fame guys that have, attributes that obviously are God-given. And that's the first thing you learn when you're coaching. You say, well, just do it this way. I can remember when I first started coaching, right? And I said I was a great player, but I was a pretty good player. And you'd ask the player to do that, and then I would tell myself, you know what? He can't do that. So let me simplify it for him, right? And so that's what you catch yourself doing. Thinking about Sapp, Sapp, not only was he a great player, he was probably one of the smartest players that I've ever been around as a 3 technique. He would actually know what the secondary and the linebackers were doing. And he would sit there at times and come out and say, Coach, look, the strong safety, and he'd be talking about Lynch, and Lynch is a smart guy too. Say, he got to be in the B gap. I said, okay. I'm in the A. He said, I'm in the A gap. He got to be in the B gap. I said, oh, okay. We got it. We'll figure it out. We're okay.
That's pretty good. One of the things that I watched Deion's team last night, and I'm a big supporter. If you're going to have a NIL and transfers, hell, you might as well use it. We were talking earlier. I thought in the course of that game, and I'm just going to assume you watched it. I'm sorry if I'm making the wrong assumption, but I thought their defense got better. I thought their defense. You want to see your team improve during a game and in practice. I thought their defense improved during that game.
They did, and I thought Deion mentioned it on the side. Deion's a good friend, and he mentioned it about the run defense. We got to stop the run because obviously that was the way they were being attacked. And I think going forward, he realizes that. With Deion, he's going to draw a lot of attention. Some he brings on his own, but that's fine. And I know the discussions I've had with him earlier when he first started coaching, I said, the hardest thing sometimes about coaching is that when you're building a team, you want to have all these athletes, but at the end of the day, it's the big guys up front on offense and defense. That's how games are won eventually. Skill guys are skill guys, and he has some tremendous skill guys. His son, obviously playing quarterback, and the other one that plays safety, and then they have the one kid that's Jim Thorpe.
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter. He does everything. He's unbelievable. So they have some skilled players, but the key for his success will be how those big guys hold up on offense and defense up front.
What did you think? You mentioned Deion and being in the news. I'm like, good for him telling that reporter to whatever he told the reporter. I'm all good with it. Where's your take on that?
My take was, and I said it, I was on air last week, and obviously, they asked the question. I said, if I was Deion, said, what would you do? I said, I'd actually call the guy in and have a discussion with him. Because the one thing I do believe is that when you're a player or a coach, you're an information provider about the game you play or coach. And that's important. You provide information not only to the media people, but to the fan base and to everyone else. You're trying to educate people. And so you have a little bit of an obligation. I just believe that. I'm not saying that because I'm in media now. I always believed that when I was a player. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, you had a good game, bad game, it doesn't matter. You got to explain, you have a platform and you got to use it.
Coach, let me go into the NFL real quick. You surprised Jacoby Brissett beat out a first-round pick in Drake May, New England?
Well, yeah, Jacoby has a lot of experience, but I'm a little bit, torn on this one. I actually think Drake May, you got to play the guy. I just got to play the guy. I mean, I get it. Kobe Brissett's ahead of him. Well, he should be. Kobe Brissett's been in the league 6, 7, 8 years. You know, he's got, 18 wins and 34 losses or something about in that. So he's going to be better. Yeah, this guy's a young kid, but he's your future. And some people will say, well, you don't want him getting beat up. What do you mean you don't want him getting beat up? I mean, Peyton Manning played. You know, Troy Aikman played. Peyton Manning had 28 interceptions. Troy Aikman couldn't win a game. You want to know something about your quarterback? You drafted him the third. He's the third player picked in the draft. You got 2 guys in front of him that are playing. Jaden Daniels is playing. Caleb Williams is playing. Play the guy, because eventually you're going to have to play him anyway. I mean, you're going to get to week 6 or 7 because you're not winning the division. I hate to tell you that. You're just not. You're in a rebuild mode. You got a new head coach. You're rebuilding your team. You're not better than the Jets. You're not better than the Miami Dolphins, right? And you're not better than Buffalo Bills. So you're in 4th place before the season starts. Now, you can't tell your team that. But players know this is going to be a hard climb for us because we're trying to rebuild. I've been in that mode as a coach. You don't say that. You go out and try to win games, but you got a young quarterback that's your future. He's a 3rd player pick now. I get it. He don't have a lot of experience. The guy that the Colts have, he's only played 16 games in the last 2 years in professional football. 16 games. That's all he's played. And he's starting. And it's going to look ugly sometimes.
Coach, I'm a Jacoby Brissett fan, but I'm totally with you. You have been on our show before talking about Jaden Daniels. Now that you've seen him in the professional game, a little bit in preseason, that kind of thing, what are your thoughts?
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, I had him for 3 years. I mean, no. The game's not too big for him. I told you who he is when we talked last time. He's Randall Cunningham. That's who he is.
You did.
He's Randall Cunningham. Same attributes, about the same size, about the same weight. Randall probably weighed about 6, 7 more pounds, maybe an inch taller, but can throw the deep pass very well. A sneaky runner can run. I mean, can run, and has gotten better playing in the pocket his last couple of years at LSU. So, he's played a lot of college football games. He's played 56 college football games.
You speaking of played college football games, Nix takes over for Sean Payton. I've heard a lot of people tell me this is a match made in heaven, and if you believe that, I've heard nobody tell me why. Like, why is this a match made in heaven and Russell Wilson wasn't?
Ooh.
I mean, what's the difference here?
Well, the difference is this kid can play in the West Coast offense. In other words, he can get the ball out very quickly. He gets it out fast. That's what Sean Payton wants. West Coast offense is throw and catch. You're not holding on to the ball very long. You got to make certain reads at the line of scrimmage. Russell Wilson is built for play action, throw the ball down the field, similar to how we played in Seattle. That's why the match for him in Pittsburgh is a good one, because they're going to run the ball first. Everything's predicated off the run game. When you watched him his last preseason game, he hit some beautiful passes. They were all off the run game, right? And that in screens, and that's how he plays. And he had a great defense in Seattle. Same way with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They play defense. They got a good kicking game. They're going to pound the football, and the play action and all the passings come off that.
You mentioned building a team, Coach, and my brain works this way. We've talked about quarterbacks and all that kind of stuff, and you talked about having big guys up front. If you were building a team and somebody said, here, Coach, you're building a team, you take anybody in the league, who would you build around?
Ooh. You talking about quarterbacks or just
anywhere?
Yeah. You got to be the quarterback first.
Quarterbacks.
You got to get
right?
a quarterback.
Mahomes.
You got to get him. Yeah, he's the best. It's easy to take him, right? But you know who I like? I love Jaden. There's a lot of good quarterbacks. I think this is in today's world, we have a lot of really good quarterbacks because of how the college game is played and how the college game has entered pro football. You allow these guys to play in similar systems that they played in college, and they're better. The athletes are bigger, faster, stronger in today's world, in the world that I played in. right? That's just what, just like in basketball, right? I mean, they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. The rim hasn't changed; it still 10 feet, but that's how the game's played. Okay, golfers the same way. They hit the ball, everyone hits a 300. You're 300 plus. It's like, really? Okay, even the women. There's women. So I just think that the kid Caleb Williams in Chicago. I think if you're a Chicago Bear fan, you're excited. And I said this when he was in college before he got drafted. He reminds me a lot, if you watch him, it reminds me a lot of Patrick Mahomes in the pocket. How he plays in the pocket, his ability to move in the pocket and make throws, make the off-schedule throws, how he can, change his arm, angles of where he's going to throw it. Reminds me a lot of Patrick Mahomes. Now, he probably grew up watching Patrick Mahomes and his mannerisms, maybe that's but I watched him now. Woo! He's really good. He's a good player.
I'm glad to hear that. I grew up in Gary, Indiana, south of Chicago, and I'm a Bears fan still, even though I live in Indy. So, hell, we've been searching, Coach. Good. We've been searching for a quarterback in Chicago.
No, I think you guys got one now. I mean, he's really good. I think he's really good. I do. So, but I want all of them to be successful. All these young guys. Yeah. This class, there was 6 of them drafted, right, in the first round, and first time in 12 years, or the first time that 6 of them were drafted in the first 12 picks. This is the class when you go back to the Marino, Elway, Jim Kelly. Those were the guys that came out that were the Hall of Famers. That was that class, right? This class of guys, these 6 guys, I tell you what now, they're a pretty good draft class of quarterbacks.
Hey, I do want to circle back to one thing before I let you go. You mentioned Deion's son, Shador, and I think he's great. I don't know nothing. You tell me. Is he an NFL top 5 pick? I mean, what do you think?
Oh, yeah. He's 6'2". He's gained some weight now. He's about 215. I remember when he was a little kid. When I used to coach that Under Armour All-American game down in Orlando, these high school kids, and Deion was on the staff, and he was working with the secondaries. And I remember when they were little guys just running around. He's a talented player. He's very good in the pocket. When you watch him, he can play from the pocket. He can throw it from the pocket, boy. And I tell you what, he has great vision, great poise in the pocket. He doesn't venture out of there. When he has to, he will. But he'll play you. He'll beat you from the pocket now. And obviously, that kid Travis Hunter, you throw it anywhere around that guy. He's unbelievable. That Travis. If he doesn't win, if he can stay healthy, he's got to win the Heisman.
Got to.
Right?
Got to. Coach.
I don't know who else.
Coach, that catch he made in the end zone, in the corner of the end zone, falling away and grabbing around. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Hey, you know what's funny? When I first started working for ESPN, I'm gonna get off. I know I'm getting long. I was doing SEC games, and so we go down there, and I'm watching this guy break the huddle. And I said, "Who's this big old quarterback?" And it's Cam Newton, right? And I'm watching him for about the first quarter, and I'm on television doing the game, and I'm going, "Look, I've seen the Heisman list," and I said, "This guy ain't on the Heisman list." I said, "He's the best player on the field. He's better than everybody. First of all, he's bigger than everybody. He's better than all the defensive players, all the offensive players. This guy ain't up for the Heisman." About 2 weeks later, I guess they put him up. His name got on the list, and he ended up winning it. And I was like, you could just tell. It was like, this guy's better than everybody. That's Travis Hunt. I mean, he's better than everybody else that he plays against. It's not even close.
Cam Newton started at Florida. Urban Meyer and I are friends. We lived next to each other. He was at Bowling Green as a basketball. I was a basketball coach. He was a football. So when Cam Newton, he kicked him out of there, computer steal and all that. When Cam was doing that, I sent him a text. You think maybe you made a mistake letting go of Cam Newton? I mean,
Maybe you could have done, you could have like, cleaned the locker room or something, just punished him a little bit, right? I mean, but you know what? It's funny you say that because I can remember going to practice and he breaks the huddle and I'm going, who is this guy? And he was bigger than everybody. I'm like, he plays what? He said, the guy played quarterback. I said, he's the biggest quarterback in America. He was a great talented player, boy. Whew, man.
Oh, man. I tell you what, I use him all the time. Like, you're a kid. He's basically a kid. And you remember his dad was accused of selling him or whatever. I don't even know. I can't remember. And he had all this media pressure, and he just smiled and kicked everybody's ass.
No doubt. There was no doubt.
Yeah. And
everybody knew what he's going to do. And Ron Rivera was the coach there when he went with Carolina. And they said, you know what? It's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to run the ball with Cam Newton. And he ran it in the NFL. They made first downs, and they ran their way right to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Coach, I love talking to you. Thanks, my friend. Thanks, and have a great Labor Day weekend. Hope you're doing well. Hope you have a great weekend.
You too, my friend. I'll be talking to you. Thank you.